The Sun Belt column on the right is based on 85 games that we officiated. The scoring is the lowest it's been in 4 seasons. The high was in the last 4 seasons was in 2021 was 57.6 points across all of FBS nationally. So not a lot of change. This is obviously one of the things that's looked at to get an evaluation on whether the rules that delineate the balance or the competitive effect between the offense and defense is where we want it. And largely, scoring isn't changed. Plays per game is down 5 plays year over year. There's been about a 4.5% variance in the high and the low in plays per game over the last 5-year period. Last year we had a big rule change and we kept the clock running with a first down and bounds except for the last 2 minutes of each half. That was primarily aimed at taking plays out of the game. So I believe this 5 plays year over year, largely, I can't say wholly, I can't prove it, but I think largely is due to that rule change, as well as an emphasis of the referees to get the clock wound back up systematically in a quick fashion after the ball is run out of bounds and comes back onto the field of play, again, outside of 2 minutes. What's one thing that's really curious to note is that look at the number of plays per game we had on average in a game across FBS nationally and then in the Sun Belt, and then consider in the National Football League last year in the 23 season, they averaged 154 plays a game. Our timing rules are virtually identical now with our change of keeping the clock running for our first down and bounds except for the last 2 minutes of each half. Yet we have this discrepancy in the overall number of plays. I said this last year, I believe, when I addressed you, and I'll say it again this year. There's just a different value of each snap in the 2 different levels. The one played on Saturday and the one played on Sunday. There's not a right or wrong here, but it does show you how the game is played differently between the 2 days each weekend. Game time is down year over year about, I think it was 4.5 minutes. But if you look over the last 4-year span, there's just about a 3% deviation there. So it's rather flat. We didn't take a big chunk of game time out when we had the rule change with first downs, and I didn't expect it to either. We've had basically for every play we took out of the game, we save a minute in the game. I show you the number of replay stops we have here nationally and in the Sun Belt. One of the points of emphasis we have in our officiating program, and by the way, our officiating program, I'm with the Southeastern Conference. I have an officiating program that includes the SEC, the Sun Belt, and the Southern Conference. We have our clinic starts tomorrow in Birmingham, Alabama. We'll have about 270 officials, both on field and in replay across those 3 conferences in a hotel there. And one of the emphasis we have this year for replay is the amount of time we're taking, specifically the number of reviews that are taking longer than 2 minutes. Our overall replay review time has gone up 21 seconds over the last 3 years. I'm not greatly alarmed at that because our accuracy has improved over those 3 years, and accuracy is number one. But there's a lot of feedback that the game is, that the flow is interrupted too much with replay, and so we're focusing on how often we're stopping it for more than 2 minutes. We had about 22% of our reviews go over 2 minutes last year. We're trying to get that down into the 10 to 12% of overall plays, because there are some plays that do require that much time. Maybe we're stitching together 2 or 3 different camera angles trying to understand exactly what happened during the play. You can see the targeted data here. We're basically on pace with what we're doing nationally. It's basically a targeting once every 6 games. This is flattened out. It's certainly flat year over year, and it's more or less flat over the last 3 years. What do I attribute that to? I attribute it to 2 things. The national training that we've had for replay, we during the pandemic start using virtual training more for obvious reasons, and realized that the quality of off-season training for replay went up using the video conferencing platforms, and we continued it. And it shows. We have more consistency nationally on evaluating, is this or isn't this something that we should overturn? What is the standard of indisputable evidence? I think we're more consistent there. The second reason I think targeting is flattened out, and this is probably the most important, is player behavior has changed to match what we're looking for, right? We don't see nearly as much as we used to 10 to 15 years ago. 15 years ago when targeting was instituted, these plays downfield with defenseless receiver, defender going airborne, trying to contact them forcibly in the head and neck area. Player behavior has changed. They understand what we're looking for, and they've reacted, and we're seeing targeting flatten out here. We see, I don't know that I have the hard data on this, but I think this is fairly accurate. We see targeting more on special teams downs now than we see from regular plays from scrimmage. Here's some things to think about in replay. I don't have these numbers up here on the display. This is nationally, all of FBS. 19% of all reviews are for targeting. 22% of all reviews are forward progress in relationship to what we call a magic line, either the line to gain or the goal line. And then 25% of all reviews nationally are for catch, no catch, whether it's in the field of play, in the end zone, or possibly catch, no catch for the defense for an interception. If you add all this up, 2/3 of all of our reviews are for targeting, catch, no catch, and whether the ball made the line to gain or made the goal line. Now, marry that together with this data. For targeting, 48% of the reviews, there's no change to the call on the field. For whether or not we gained a first down or went over the goal line playing, 65% of the reviews have no change. And then lastly, for catch, no catch, including interceptions, 62% all reviews have no change. Why do I bring this up? We're doing really well with our accuracy in replay. Maybe some disagreements in the room, and those disagreements will highlight two things. What's the standard of indisputable video evidence? It's hard to get 100 people to agree on exactly what that is. It's also, it's a testament to how much subjectivity is in the replay booth, right? But we're also, our accuracy has gotten to a very good place. We're being asked about what we can do and how much impact we're having to the flow of the game. There's a big difference between NCAA and NFL replay. In the NFL, the teams decide when a team has enough competitive impact that we need to stop it and look at it. In college, we're asking a replay official to watch each of 180 plays on average to stop the game. And that's why we're stopping the game as much as we do and coming up with something on the order of about 65% of the time we're not changing anything because we're not making we haven't made the standard of indisputable video evidence to overturn. We're operating really well, in my opinion, inside how the model for replay works in the NCAA. But for those of you that are concerned about how it's impacting the flow of the game, we're going to need a different model to have a substantial change in that area. You've heard me talk in past years probably about a hybrid model, where maybe in college we automatically review a certain subset of the reviewable elements of the game, and then everything else becomes coach's challenge. The teams decide when the play has enough competitive impact such that we need to stop the flow of the game and go look at it in replay. Things that are talking about what would be automatic: targeting, scoring plays, change of possession. New rules this year. The big one that everyone's talking about is the introduction of technology on the sideline. We've passed 2 rules in the NCAA to make it permissive for, one, having coach-to-player communications by way of a radio set speaker that's in up to one player's helmet on each side of the ball, very identical to how it works on Sunday. And the second is the use of tablets to look at video of that game on the sidelines during the game. That is actually different than the NFL. The NFL has tablets on the sideline, but the NFL still only has still photographs. When the NFL is using their tablets on the sideline, they're looking at still shots. They're not allowed to use full motion video. College is allowing full motion video. They're not allowed to have any analytics being shown. They can't use any video of games other than the one they're currently in. Perhaps they put a library of video together on their opponent during scouting during the week. They're not allowed to look at that during the game. They're allowed to look at the television production feed of the game, as well as 2 coach cameras, the one in the end zone and the one at the high 50s, sometimes known as the All-22. We also have introduced a 2-minute timeout. Not a 2-minute warning. It was intentional. Don't know necessarily why, but we're calling it a 2-minute timeout. But the mechanics of it are very identical to what you see on Sundays. I wasn't in the room when it was discussed, but I believe the impetus for adding the 2-minute timeout was largely due to the television partners wanting a natural break at the end of the half to use their last media timeout for that half. And let me emphasize this rule change does not, let me repeat, does not add an additional media timeout to the second and fourth quarters. The television partner is simply holding back that last one to use at the 2-minute timeout. The second reason that the rule change, the impetus for the rule change was we have a variety of timing rules that change at the end of the half, right? Runner going out of bounds, when the ball comes in, we're going to wind it, except for in the last 2 minutes and a half. First down in bounds, we're going to keep the clock running, except for the last 2 minutes of each half. The 2-minute timeout creates a bright line on when we're going to make those timing changes. It just didn't happen in the Sun Belt last year, but I guess there was a handful of games nationally where, with the new rule related to first downs last year, there was a first down in bounds very close to 2 minutes, and the sidelines were not in the know on, was it outside 2 minutes? Was it under 2 minutes? Should the clock have stopped there? Should it have kept running? So on and so forth. By having a 2-minute timeout, now we have a very bright line about when we are going to keep the clock stopped after a first down in bounds. One change that there'll be a game or two where you'll notice this, and all the other games you won't even think about it, and if I didn't mention it, you wouldn't even be in the know. 10-second runoff rules, which we added, been in the NFL for decades, and we added about 10 years ago in college football. 10-second runoff rules used to be in effect for the last minute of each half. With the introduction of the 2-minute timeout, 10-second runoff rules are now in effect for the last 2 minutes, or at least on the other side of the 2-minute timeout. So that is a change that probably won't be noticed much, except for those 3 or 4 games where it's a big deal. So let me move on to, I have some video. Yep, there we go. I'm going to show you 2 replay clips. The first one, you're going to see back-to-back plays. By the way, these are SEC plays. I don't have the audio married together with a video for Sunbelt, and that's why I'm using SEC plays. What you see here is exactly the way things transpire with inside a Sunbelt game, including the collaborative replay. So this first clip is back-to-back plays from the, I believe it's the 2022 SEC Championship game. And you're going to hear 3 voices. One, which you're going to hear first, is very faint. You're probably not going to make out what's being said. It's not important. And I'll explain why it's not important at the end of the clip. And then you'll hear 2 very clear voices. The first clear voice is going to be the replay official that's in the replay booth in the stadium. And then the second voice is the collaborative replay official that's in our video center in Birmingham. And Sunbelt uses collaborative replay also in our video center in Birmingham.
No subs. Pass. It's away. It's clean. Catch stands.
Yep.
Minus 37. I'm sorry, 32. Minus 32. 30.
I'm going over them, Chuck.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mitch. Good.
Yep.
Good job.
Yeah, I can definitely see it there.
Right over the top.
Yep.
Yep. Hey, he's got a good shot too.
Pass. Ball's out. He's clean. Catch first down. See the hit. All right, minus 41. Hash 1.
Good with the hit.
Yep. Shoulder.
Turns.
Yep.
41 to 49. Over the ball. Hands on the ball. Here we go.
Yep, we're good. First down.
So I wanted to give you an appreciation for, there's a rhythm and cadence going on in that booth, right? It's nonstop. What you just saw for 2 consecutive plays goes on for 180 plays of every single game. I'm trying to dispel the myth that if we didn't stop the game, we didn't look at it. College football has failed, right? This is what we're trying to sell to you, that this is what's going on, and we're not getting credit for it. Faith is usually defined by believing in something that you can't see, right? We, the leaders of college football officiating, haven't landed faith in this is what's going on. And I'm trying to give you that appreciation that's going on. I'm trying to give you an appreciation for how frenetic it might get because of a tempo offense, right? They were lined up for the third play in just that, 25, 28 seconds of video that we're showing. But you had a replay official that knew the software, knew how to manipulate it, knew what camera angles to go to. They keep like a geometry in their head of where these cameras are. They're not methodically going from cameras 1 through 6. They know, hey, on this play, I probably need the low end zone on the left-hand side as opposed to the high end zone on the right-hand side or whatnot. And they're very adroit of going through those camera angles quickly, although a tempo offense does push us really hard. And we're thinking out loud. That's the other thing, right? To have a process that where we collaborate, you can't be silent, right? Because your over-the-shoulder partner doesn't know what's going on. There obviously we're evaluating the potential for targeting on both those plays. Let me set up the second replay clip. This is a play where we stop the game. And this one, we have a legend here down on the left-hand side that's going to give you a better understanding on who's talking when and what they're saying, right? It's pretty obvious why we're stopping the game and what they're going to review and what they're ultimately going to overturn. There is you're going to hear when he says stop the game, replay, right? And if you listen, it's not annotated here in the legend, but if you listen, you're going to hear a garbled voice in the background. Kind of sounds like what the adults sound like in a Peanuts movie or cartoon, right? It's the referee making an announcement that the ruling on the field is an interception. This play is now under further video review. And then after that garbled message, up here at the top, where it says review time, and right now the boxes are blank, you're going to see green 0 come up and then start counting up. That's the review time. And that's the point where the referee has finished his announcement and he's running over to put the headphones on his head. Let's listen in here.
36 to the 22. 36 to the 22. Snap. Pass. Intercepted. Ruling on the field.
Make sure he's got it.
Yeah.
He's bobbling the ball.
I know.
Stand by, David.
Chuck, he going down to try to get it. He does not have control. This is not it. Stop it right now.
Yeah, stop it.
Replay.
Replay.
He does not have firm control. The ball moves without his control.
An interception. He does not have firm control going out of bounds.
Make sure we have the previous spot. Is it 36?
Take it back a little bit further, Jordan.
We got plenty of time, Jordan. Don't rush through this.
I'm not.
This is
I'm
huge.
not. Yeah. When he hits
Totally
his
agree
knee,
with you.
when he hits his knee,
he does not have firm grip and control.
Yeah, he does not.
Yep. Okay. Yep. He does not have firm grip and control. I totally agree with you.
All right, Jordan, I'm here listening.
David, we're going to take our time with this.
Show David.
He does not have firm grip and control on this interception. So we're going to overturn this to an incomplete pass, and I'm going to give you your previous spot.
So it will be third down at the previous spot.
Yes, you need your previous spot.
Third and 14 at the 36, right?
Yeah, third and 15 at the 36. It's be third and 15 at 36.
I don't think they ever move, so I think we're good at the 36.
Okay, sounds good.
So we'll be on 36 left hash, and it'll be third down, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Third
got
down.
it. Thank you. No clock adjustment.
Nope, because it's incomplete pass.
Got it, Scott.
What am I trying to do there? First, give you an appreciation of what's going on, right? Another myth. The reason replay takes so long is we got to wait for the referee to go all the way over the sideline and put the headphones on to even start the review, right? You see here that the review was about a third over before they even stopped the game, right? That's the first thing you picked up from that clip. When David Smith got over to the headphones and said, hey, I'm here, the ruling on the field is a catch for an interception, they were almost done the review. They had basically gotten to the point. They're getting confirmations from each other. Again, it's a collaborative process. But they would basically come to the conclusion that we need to overturn this to an incomplete pass before the referee even got over to those headphones. Why does he go over there? Why do we have that monitor on the sideline? The reason we have the monitor on the sideline is if we're going to overturn a play and we need the referee to describe why we're going to overturn the play, he can see the play, right? In the days, and I used to be on the field back in these days, in the days before we had the monitor, it became an exercise of the blind man and the elephant, right? I had these guys up top, they're looking at video, telling me why we're going to overturn a play, and I was in the blind. Like, I had to take their word for it, and I had to ask questions. Was it the left foot? Was it the right foot? Did he drag it? You know, with the monitor, he sees it, and he can be a much more accurate describer of what the video evidence is that was indisputable to overturn the play. The second is, and you heard it here towards the end of this clip, when we overturn a play, there's 5 pieces of information we need to make sure that we get accurate, right? Where's the ball going to be spotted? Where is it going to be laterally on the field? What are the down and distance going to be? And do we need to do anything to change the clock? And that's yes, we have an earpiece that is in, gives us a communication link to the communicator up in the replay booth. But trust me, it's not nearly as robust as the headphones that you could put on the sideline to have a crystal clear conversation to get those 5 pieces of information accurate. Because if you don't get them accurate, it's pretty big impact on the game. Now I'm going to show you 3 clips where the game is innovating, where it's evolving. And innovation now, because of technology, because of digital video and how ubiquitous it is and how easy it is for a program like in Statesboro, Georgia, to be able to get their hands on 25 games that were played outside of the Sun Belt by Monday or Tuesday after that Saturday, right? If some new wrinkle of the game is executed in Logan, Utah on a Thursday, you may see 3 or 4 teams incorporate that wrinkle that Saturday because of how quickly knowledge of that travels with the accessibility to this video. These plays all represent things of that nature, where in July, when I have my training and development for my officials, I don't know about a new wrinkle that will show up in week 8 or week 9. Let's take a look at them. I'm going to see if I can, I'm going to have to get close to this microphone and turn around. This first play happened Thanksgiving night. You're going to see shifting that's being used by the offense.
Converted tight end, but
and when I go back here, you'll notice the shift. You notice we got the hard clap by what is essentially a wildcat back. And the shifting is in concert with its signal. The spirit of the rules allows shifting, and motion for that matter. We'll see motion here in a second. The spirit of the rules allow the offense to shift, to put a challenge on the defense to have their secondary coverage match the new formation after the shift, and a tool for the offense to figure out what kind of secondary coverage the defense is called, right? It's not, the spirit of the rules is not for them to create a dead ball foul prior to the snap on the defense. And so this is the first time we saw in one of our conferences. I saw it the previous week. It came across my desk on Thursday, literally an hour after I put my training video out for, this is week 13 last year. It happened somewhere out west, and we had 2 of our teams incorporated that Saturday. You're not allowed to use, this is the cadence you're using in offense. You've declared that's when you're going to initiate the play by snapping the ball. We can't use that in concert with shifting to create action that simulates a snap, because that is the definition of false start. What's a false start? It's action that simulates action at the snap. This needed to be shut down as a false start. It's something our crews had never seen before when they took the field here on Thanksgiving night. Something else we've seen, this has been going on now for at least 5 or 6 years, what we call coordinated stemming. Everyone knows what stemming is. It's a shift basically on the defense where they're going to change their defensive alignment on the down lineman on the defensive side of the ball. Because of how we're officiating coordinated stemming, we're defining a stem of a lateral movement by a defensive lineman that is at least changes your head up to gap or gap to head up, right? If you move any less than that, it's not a stem. It's an action that's designed to make your opponent false start. If you stem, you have to laterally move at least head up to gap or gap to head up. We're also not going to allow, coordinated stemming is usually done on a signal from a defensive player. We're also not going to allow that signal to come from a lineman. It has to come from a linebacker. And let's watch what happens here. I believe it's number 2 here. There, you barely see a dip of his shoulders. He's calling the signal out, so they're fine. And then my 3 linemen on the left, they're all changing at least head up the gap or vice versa. We're all good with that. Let's look at our 2 guys over here. Let's watch the down defensive lineman that's over the left tackle. He's moving his left arm there intentionally at the same time as his teammates are moving, the same time the signal's coming from linebacker number 2. That's not a stem. That's action designed to try to get your opponent to false start. Now let's watch the flexed out defensive end. He's going to start by decreasing his width, right? I'm okay with that. But then we got this action here, right? Again, that's not a stem, right? That's action designed to try to get your opponent to false start. These are the guidelines that I'm giving my officials to officiate these plays. And by the way, this framework of what we call a framework of judgment, this interpretation of the rules is exactly that. It's interpretation of the rules. The rules don't spell out what exactly is allowed in this scenario because John McDaid's opinion, the rules don't evolve quick enough to match the evolution of how the game is coached and played. The last play I have for you. We're going to play it right here. If we're reading this formation, right, we've got a receiver at the top of the screen on the line of scrimmage. We have 2 split receivers at the bottom of the screen. The furthest out is on the line of scrimmage. The slot is off. And then I have a quarterback and a back. And then that wing back that's off the right tackle, right? So quarterback in the back, the wing back, and the slot at the bottom. That's the 4 in the backfield. I have 7 on the line of scrimmage. I have 4 in the backfield. We're going to treat this as a legal formation. And one of the things that we adopted in college from the NFL at least 15 years ago is this concept of if the formation presents itself pretty obviously, we're not going to get real rigorous on whether he's on or off the line of scrimmage. So that guy in the top, we're putting him on the line of scrimmage because it makes it a legal formation. Let's watch what happens. So you see we have a shift by the slot at the bottom. He put himself on the line of scrimmage. And by doing that, and the wide receiver at the bottom, he hasn't moved. By doing that, he's declared himself ineligible. In college, he has an eligible number, but he's in an ineligible position. These kinds of formations are created to try to confuse, if you want, deceive the defense. Who's eligible and who's not eligible. Now let's watch what happens. Now they're saying that wide receiver at the top was in the backfield before he went in motion, right? Because you're only allowed to go in motion if you declare yourself in the backfield first. And he didn't do that. He went into motion right from the position he's in. Why is that important? This is my alarm. Don't tell Travis I'm going over. Why does he do that? Defensive secondaries want to know they use the term anchored. They want to know who are the anchored receivers because they know they can't get in motion. But by what the offense just did here, they successfully deceived the defense, not on only who's an eligible or ineligible receiver, but who's anchored. And they're getting a leg up, and that leg up goes beyond what the spirit of the rules are. So that's it. That's what I have for you today. Like I said, we have a big officiating clinic going on in Birmingham this week that has all 3 of our conferences, 270 officials. In the Sun Belt, we have 7 on-field officiating crews, and then we have, which is 56 officials with 7 replay crews, which is another big math for me this morning, 14 officials. And then we have 2 collaborative replay officials in the Sun Belt that are working in our video center in Birmingham each and every week. I look forward to week 1. Today is Wednesday. Tomorrow night, 5 weeks from tomorrow night, our season from an officiating standpoint opens, and I look forward to it. I wish everyone a great 2024 Sun Belt football season.